Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Anime King 2. And today I'm going to be giving you part 11 of What If Naruto got a new tail beast from the Shinigami. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual. Share this to all of your friends in social media platform. And also guys, stay in tune for the rest of what if's coming your way over Anime King and Anime King 3. If you're new, yes, you heard that correctly. I indeed have 3 channels, and making 2 and making 3. Which I post what if on every single day, yes, you heard that correctly. Every single day for you guys to enjoy, so go ahead, click that red subscribe button and become part of the Making family. And thank you for all of your help and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new, I'll be replying talking about to all of you. And also guys, remember to turn on that bell notification to see exactly when I post. So without further ado, what do you say we leap on into this new episode? Start the intro. So the last spot we left off, a massive gust separated Erza and her team, as she had to fight a giant snake. Upon defeating the snake, she realized that it was a summon. She rushed back towards her team location. When she got there, Sasuke was on the ground in pain, gripping his neck, and Mito was bleeding badly. It was only because of her Uzumaki lineage, and the Kyuubi inside of her that she was still alive, otherwise she would have been dead. This was bad. The foe was none other than Orochimaru of the Sannin, as he stood there with a smirk on his face. Erza decided to give it her all as she tapped into 4 tail worth of the Kyuubi's power. As she was able to control herself, however, her mind was filled with rage. With her tapping into the beast's power, Mito got affected as well. As her wounds started to heal faster, Erza used her abilities as she made chakra chains and also swords as she attacked Orochimaru. However, he was merely toying with her, as he wanted to see what she was capable of. A distance away, Naruto felt the spike of chakra as he moved towards the location. Orochimaru and Erza clashed for a very long while, as the both of them clashed against each other, as she was getting more and more angrier, tapping into more of the beast's power. However, Orochimaru proved that it was time to seal it off, so he did exactly that as he sealed away the power. In doing so, she dropped. But despite her weakened state, she was still ready to fight at any moment. However, Naruto arrived and sliced Orochimaru in pieces, but the man switched to the mud clone. Orochimaru was not aware of the situation, that Naruto knew everything because he killed Kabuto. However, it seems that Grim did not know what was up here, Orochimaru thought, so it's better if he leave this place immediately. As Naruto chakra chains shredded Orochimaru and even caused him to, well, decay from the inside out. The man had no choice but to flee for his life, as Naruto did not pursue. Mito and Erza were back on their feet, as Mito was angry as she was defensive, as she didn't want Naruto to come close to them at all, as she knew him as Pain Grim, the one that killed Kakashi, and that was angering her. However, he was able to help Sasuke, as Erza told her to calm down. Despite the situation, strange enough, he stayed behind to help them fight to extract Missing Nin. Despite him could have just leaving them for dead. Why would he do that? As he merely told him that it was his job, after all, he was a proctor. As Naruto sucked the soul from the cursed mark, freeing Sasuke of that mark. Anko and her team arrived afterwards, as Anko dragged Naruto all over the forest for the next couple of days, searching for the snake bastard even though he was long gone. People heard about what Grim did and they were rather surprised, and not to mention grateful. After all, he stood around to protect the Hokage daughters, especially after what Erza said. Despite what he did to Kakashi, some people were surprised that he would go that far. That was strange. After all, he was Akira Shinobi. Most would not even look their way and left them for dead. And Kushina was grateful as well that their two daughters came out of this okay. So with that, they arrived towards the final tower. Arriving there, as he saw Asuma and the others, they even seemed more calm around him. Even Guy was a bit more calm around him as well, despite the situation with Kakashi. But he told him that the next time they fought, he hoped he can show him all of that youthfulness that he showed Orochimaru and the others. As Naruto had gathered all of the information that he needs so far, but the team had to make it through. At least one of them had to make it to the final, so Mei could arrive. Asuma and the others got into talking as they spoke about Minato's son. As Naruto asked about him, it turns out that after a few weeks Minato had shut off the call. Naruto was a bit upset about that, even though he was the one that chose to run away. But he guessed wasting resources was not on the man's mind at the time, as Minato stepped out to give his speech so they could begin the final preliminary exam. So yeah guys, basically let's with the top. You guys can switch across the place of yourself, and what do you say we jump right into this new episode guys. Minato stood in front of the podium as he smiled slightly before he started to speak. Before we continue, there's a few things I wish to explain to you. It concerned the true meaning of the Chunin exam selection. Why do we have all of the allied countries taking the exam at the same time? Even some neutral countries? Minato asked as he looked towards all of the shinobis that were there. To promote friendship across the countries and raise the quality of our shinobi. I don't want you to misunderstand the meaning, however. The true purpose of this exam is to serve as a replacement for war for our allies. Minato paused as he accentuated his words. As Naruto rolled his eyes hearing that, the Chunin exams were basically a watered down war games. Who could have guessed that? He said in a sarcastic tone to himself. Not that long ago, village were fighting village, and shinobis were killing shinobis. The war that followed was a terrible and wasteful thing that led to the death of many shinobis from all nations. This examination is an alternate to the wars of old, one that will allow our country to avoid such a wasteful fighting. For the third test, lords and ladies from all over the elemental nation will be here to witness the exams. You will fight with your life on the line to protect not only your homeland, but your prestige. If your country seems as weak, you will lose clients. The livelihood of a shinobi, if you're strong, you will gain clients, bolstering your home. If your country is shown as a strong country, it will also send political message towards the other nations. Then why must we risk our life? There has to be a better way to fight for this prestige. A genin from below shouted out. Naruto glanced down to see that it was none other than the Inuzaka heir. The boy was an idiot, challenging his Hokage words like this. The Hokage fixed the genin with a flinty stare, his voice becoming hard. The voice of a Kage. The strength of the country is the strength of the village. The strength of the village is the strength of the shinobi. And a shinobi true strength is only born in a life and death battle. As his voice came out strong and powerful, making the genins down below stand a bit straighter. This exam only has meaning because when you fight to become Chunin, but for your very life and your prestige for your village. He paused for a few seconds, let that sink in before he turned his gaze towards the wall. Hayate Gecko, a shinobi of Konoha would be your proctor for the next stage of this exam. If you please explain what will happen next, Hayate. The man appeared in front of the assembled genins. As you say, Lord Hokage. He gave Minato a small bow before he turned back towards the genins. As you heard, my name is Hayate Gecko. There's something we must do before the third exam. As the man started to cough as he covered his mouth. As Naruto noticed that, the man looked sick. He had very pale skin, dark circle under his eyes, and shaky hands. As Naruto was surprised they would let a guy like that be a shinobi. A shinobi like this in Kira would be placed on sabbatical until he returned back to health, or do a desk job. Currently, Hayate said, there are too many participants. The previous stages might have been too easy. According to the rules, we will hold a preliminary in these kinds of situations. As Lord Hokage said earlier, there will be many important spectators that come to see the finals a month away from now. As you can imagine, many of them will be pressed for time. We therefore have a limited time frame to hold the finals. and there's no telling how long the battle will last. So you have to make certain only the best make it that far. He trailed off coughing his hand before. He added, anyway, if any of you are feeling overwhelmed by what we just discussed here, you have the opportunity to back out now. Step forward if you're not feeling too confident. The assembled Genins looked amongst one another, as they wondered who would be giving up. As Naruto sighed as if anyone would give up after making it this far. If they were still able to stand, they would fight. Even if the chance of victory is low, in a controlled setting like this, they should be able to push themselves beyond their limits. After all, Minato said that this was life and death. But unless you were stupid or very unlucky, then it's unlikely you would die. Seeing that no one was willing to give up, Hayate nodded his head. The rules for the matches are simple. They will be 1-on-1. There will be no external help. Other than that, there are no other rules. The match continues until one of you die, knocked out, or declare defeat. If you don't wish to be killed, then acknowledge your defeat. When the winner has been clearly established, I will jump down and stop the fight. If you continue to harm your opponent after the fight has been declared over, you will likely be disqualified, and you may find yourself in the hospital. Hayate continued bluntly, not sugarcoating the consequences. And the screen above you will decide who will fight. Hayate revealed as he pointed toward the screen. As Naruto glanced up, he could say that he was impressed. Those screens were the height of modern technology, and they were extremely expensive. No doubt this was just an attempt by Konoha to show off the expense of their village. The names that are called, you will be the one that will be fighting. The thing lit up as it started to flip through names, as it settled on 2. Suigetsu versus Kinsuki. Will everyone apart from those 2 please go up to the stands and wait for your turn to come? Looks like one of your brides are going to be fighting first, Asuma said, as he glanced towards Naruto. Do you reckon that he have a chance? Yeah, he should do fine. Suigetsu might be able to shit, but he's a capable shinobi. As the arena was left empty except for Hayate, Suigetsu and long black hair couldn't reach it from the sound. Suigetsu started to posture down there, either flirting or taunting the Kunoichi. Kunai turned to give Naruto a disapproving look as she heard what he said about his team. Should you really be talking about your Genins like that? Tell you what, talk to Suigetsu and you will see why. He's a little prick. As Naruto gave Hodan and Kojiro a nod as they approached him, as they came over towards him. So, you 2 are still alive then? As they did not look at all affected by the second stage of the exam. Yeah, it was pretty easy. We only came across 2 teams. Both of them were quite weak, so we just knocked them around a bit and hurried back here. Got here about 4 days ago, Hodan said, just before the Sand team. As Naruto's eyes started to twitch, he was rather irritated that they were able to lounge around for the past 4 days, while Anko had been dragging his ass all around this damn forest. Good. I would have been embarrassed for you if you had gotten beaten. Once again, Naruto felt Kunai's eyes on him. No doubt she was once again disapproving how he spoke to his Genins. Oh well, she can suck it. Nice to see that you've never changed, Pain. Hodan said that chuckle as he leaned against the railing. As Naruto chuckled as he heard that, the Konoha shinobi looked at him with surprise. It was like they didn't think that he could actually laugh. How rude. As Naruto looked around and saw all of the other senseis going around to greet their students, he was about to turn his gaze back to the arena when he saw Kushina Uzumaki trying to catch his eye. Looking over at his mother, he was surprised, as she nodded her head and mouthed the words, "Thank you," before she looked away. As Naruto smiled under his mask when he heard that, it was no doubt her way of acknowledging his help for protecting her daughters in the forest of death. Hey Pain, the match is about to start, said Hodan as Naruto turned his gaze towards the arena floor. Honestly, Naruto was not interested in the fights. They were Genins after all. For someone of his caliber, well, they were not going to be that interesting. Down below with Suigetsu and Kin. The match ended all too quickly. It started off with Kin throwing senbons, with bells attached to the end of them. Her style of fighting was actually interesting. It relied on casting genjutsus with the bells on her senbons. With each genjutsu, she could leave her opponent disoriented, and then she would launch her senbons, puncturing pressure points and disabling her opponents. It would allow her a swift victory over the average Genin. However, Suigetsu was not really the average Genin. He was a new member of the 7 Ninja Swordsmen of Kirin, and not to mention he was a wielder of Shibuke, the Blast Sword. The moment the match started, as she threw her senbon, He was already moving. As she was about to make her move, he already brought his blade down, causing a massive explosion, creating an explosion in the center. The sound wave from the explosion was enough to drown out the sounds from the senbons as the bells were ringing. Kino was also thrown back as well. Suigetsu burst through the smoke as he slammed his sword in her midsection, throwing her back. She crashed against the wall out cold. This was just a bad matchup for her. Maybe if it was one of the other Genins from Konoha, yes, but not Suigetsu. Subtlety and restraint. They aren't something that Suigetsu know about quite well, said Naruto as he glanced down towards him, as he was grinning from ear to ear. Better to end it quickly than a drawn-out battle, said Kojiro, not willing to badmouth his fellow swordsman like Pain did. True, but the sword he used is well known, said Naruto, as he saw that him and his team were getting glances from the rest of the Jonins. A number of them had clearly recognized the sword that Suigetsu used. I am sure many will be wondering what a member of the 7 Ninja Swordsmen is doing taking the Chunin exams. Hold on, Chuck, as he heard that. Well, the swordsmen also need to advance the Chunin like any other shinobis. Naruto sighed as he heard that, as the next competitors were called, Sasuke Uchiha versus Ino Yamanaka. The match that followed was just pure embarrassment. Despite Sasuke being exhausted from the forest and the removal of his curse mark, the match was over in less than 15 seconds, the moment Hayate said begin. Sasuke had just rushed up and punched the girl in the stomach. She was unable to dodge, she was not fast enough. He then swept her leg away, as he then dropped her to the ground, placing a kunai to her throat, and it was done. What the hell just happened? I think I missed it, Suigetsu shouted. Don't be a little shit, Suigetsu, said Naruto, as he saw the members of the Ino team sending him a frown. As Naruto glanced towards Shikamaru, their eyes met. Shikamaru's eyes widened when he saw Naruto's red and black eyes. However, Naruto did not notice that. However, Shikamaru looked shocked. As Naruto folded his arms, he was quite disappointed as well. She was an heiress of a clan. He thought that she would have put up a good fight. The Yamanakas must surely be disappointed. The next match was Temari and Tenten. Tenten was probably bad lucky. After all, she got the worst competitor. Temari's wing attacks were just fit for her style of fighting. Her weapons didn't get anywhere close. The next match was Zaku versus Hodan. Zaku had 2 holes in his palms that allow him to use wind-based jutsus. Quite precisely. Against a normal shinobi, this match would be deadly. After all, wind could not only blast but also cut as well. Unfortunately though, he was facing off against Hodan, a man known as the Cannonball. The moment Hayate began the match, Hodan activated his bloodline ability. He shot himself like a cannonball forward. His body was a blur as he moved through the air. Zaku was not even able to dodge. One moment he stood there, next moment he was face first in the wall, unconscious. Suffice to say, he had to be carried away. His arms and legs were broken. Hodan was perfectly fine due to his slick armor that he wore, protecting him from any collateral damage as he stretched before he returned back to his normal shape. Up with Naruto. And that, boys and girls, is why they call Hodan the Cannonball, he said. And I thought Suigetsu had no restraint, Kojiro said. Hey, said Suigetsu. The next match was Shikamaru Nara versus Erza Uzumaki. Brain versus Brawn. Erza, although intelligent, was not on Shikamaru's level, as she was going to make her way down there until I forfeit. As the boy realized that his chance against Erza was slim to none. Even if he did catch her in his shadow possession jutsu, it was likely that she can overpower it with sheer physical ability. Not to mention she could make hundreds of clones, more than he can't even possibly think to hold back. Thinking back on it, he probably made the right decision when he did. Unfortunately though, this meant that he would not be becoming a Chunin, as no one had seen him really do anything, so yeah, and not to mention forfeiting was a bad choice there. Naruto turned as he saw Asuma comically slapping his head across a railing, while the other Jonins looked on in amusement. Erza scowled as she released a sigh. She glanced towards Naruto before she looked away, as she made her way over. Meanwhile, the next match was Rock Lee versus Gaara. This match started off good, Gaara-san keeping Lee from getting close. However, when Lee removed his weights, things got hectic. as he was able to get through Gaara's defense. It seems like this was the first time it had ever happened. Lee then proceeded to use a technique that Naruto has never seen before, as he massively powered himself up, but also it put a strain on his body, as he pushed himself further and further in the gates. However, in the end, Gaara still came out on top, as he crushed Lee's arm and leg. He was about to kill him until Guy jumped down and rescued his student. Surprised to say though, what started off as a rather uninteresting match turned into the most badass match within the entire preliminary so far. Damn, that Gaara kid is hardcore, Suigetsu said. That defense of his will be hard to get through, but if that Lee kid can do it, then I reckon we can do it as well, said Hodan, as he thought how he would fight against an opponent like Gaara, but so far he was coming up short. As Naruto hummed in response, Gaara's abilities and his ultimate defense was certainly something. Depending on what May choose, Naruto might have to fight him. But Gaara was not the first Jinchuriki would fight. He had fought his sister in the 4th Mizukage, although against the 4th. May was there as well, a Kage level shinobi of her own right. The next match was Choji Akimichi vs Dosu. The match was over fast as Dosu used his gauntlets to knock Choji out rather quickly. I can't really say that these Konoha shinobis have been impressive so far, Suigetsu said, as a lot of Konoha shinobis glare at him, but he didn't seem to care. As Naruto looked towards Kurona and gave her, "You see what I mean, look." The scowling Genjutsu mistress gave him a nod of acknowledgement, as she understood now. The next match was Neji vs Hinata. The boy did not show any mercy as he beat her down, saying that she was unworthy to be the Hyuga clan head. By the end of the match, his own team was upset by his performance. Everyone was. The way he treated her. Family, no matter how dysfunctional, should not treat people like that. That was just beyond cruel. Well, that guy was a complete ass, Hodan said, as Hinata was carried away on a stretcher. If any of you lot face off against him in the finals, make him suffer, said Naruto. He might not know the Hyuga girl, but that Neji guy was a great A dick and he needed a good beating. You don't have to tell me twice, Kojiro said. The boy was always calm and nice, however, even he was upset by that performance. They were family after all. You don't treat family like that. The next match was Kiba Inazaka vs Kojiro. When Kojiro drew his blade, he got a few raised eyebrows, as he revealed himself to also be a 7-ninja swordsman as well. Ignorant of this, Kojiro watches Kiba charge head-on along with his partner Akamaru. Kiba threw smoke bombs, as him and Akamaru spun, trying to hit Kojiro. However, they didn't stand a chance, as he simply knocked them out of that form with his blade. He then proceeded to hold his blade against Kiba's throat, forced him to surrender. The kid wasn't bad, said Suigetsu. He has potential, but I think Kojiro was going easy on him, said Hodan, as Kojiro helped Kiba back up to his feet. The fact that he used the flat of his blade and not the edge could tell you that much. The next fight was Shino Aberami vs Mito Uzumaki. This was a bad matchup for Shino, because Mito was skilled in Fuinjutsu. She had struck him with a kunai, however he burst into bugs. But unlike most shinobi who'd back away from the chakra-eating insects, instead she pulled a scroll and sealed majority of them away. Cut off from Shino, unable to escape, they were stuck in stasis. With the loss of majority of his swarm, she quickly overwhelmed him and defeated him. Naruto released a disappointed sigh as the preliminary matches came to an end, as Kankuro got a vote to the finals due to the uneven numbers. They were told that the foreign shinobis were welcome to stay and use Konoha training facilities if they wanted to, as the finals will begin in a month. The names were displayed on the board overhead. Erza Uzumaki vs Neji Hyuga, Kojiro vs Mito Uzumaki, Kankuro vs Gaara, Temari vs Hodan, Suigetsu vs Sasuke, and those on standby. As Naruto looked up, he hoped those fights were going to be interesting. Well, at least he hoped he get to watch a couple of them before the invasion began. So what now? Hodan asks. Now we return to Konoha. I want everyone get an early night because we're heading back to Gary at first light. The three of them groaned as they heard that. Deal with it. We're getting up early because I want us to get back to Gary as soon as possible. As Naruto felt someone approaching him. As he turned to see problem, he asks, Not yet, Uncle said with a smirk. The Hokage has requested to have a word with you before you leave. He probably wants to hear your version of what happened in the Forest of Death with Orochimaru. Oh, brilliant, said Naruto, as he turned towards his team and told him to go ahead. Lead the way then, Uncle, he said. Time skip, Naruto released a sigh as he walked towards the Hokage's tower, led by Uncle. As her trench coat was off, as it was draped over her shoulder, as Naruto couldn't help but look down towards her rear. A part of him believed that she was doing it on purpose. He couldn't say for sure though, because he's only known her for a short amount of time. But during that time he came to the conclusion that she liked to mess with people. However, so far he ignored her attempts of baiting and teasing him. This prior experience made him believe that this was another attempt to make him feel uncomfortable. As he glanced up, he didn't miss the slight smirk that she sent him. It appeared that she caught him, not that he would give her the satisfaction of making him feel flustered. As he arrived towards Hokage's tower, the entrance guarded by two visible Anbu agents. It was likely that there was many other Anbus guarding the tower, however they hid their presence. As Naruto was sure that he could find them all, however now, he did not see the point. We're here to see the Hokage, he requested a meeting with Pain before he left the Kiri. A bear-masked Anbu turned as they looked towards Pain, no doubt thinking him over as a threat, comparing to Grim in the bingo book. The guard gave her a single nod as they strutted straight into the tower. As Naruto walked, he was prepared just in case they tried anything funny. He might be here as Hokage guest, but he would not let his guard slip for even a moment. Shinobis, after all, were known to be tricky, backstabbing bastards. Seriously, is it just me or all Anbus over dramatic? I mean, sometimes I just want to shout, get a life. Just because you wear a silly little mask, that doesn't make you all cool, said Uncle, as she turned towards Naruto and looked towards the lower half mask that covered his face. And your point is, he said. I don't really have a point, she said. Which would make you pointless then, he said. Uncle blinked. Did you just make a joke? As he simply ignored her. It seems my boy is growing up, she said with a grin. As they arrived in front of the door, she stepped forward as she knocked on it. Uncle glanced towards the side. There was a hidden Anbu there. It looked like this is it then. I will likely see you in a month's time, she said. As he was surprised about her not saying that she would try to catch him before he headed off. My shift starts in a few minutes, and I'm working the rest of the day. It's very unlikely that you will stick around long enough for me to finish my duties. So does that mean you expect a hug and a tearful goodbye, he asked. Just a goodbye will do for now, the tears can wait until later. Alright then, he said. I'll see you in a month. As he see no harm in humoring the woman, even if he barely knew her. Their interaction has been good so far. Yep, see you around, Grimmy. Good luck with the meeting, and with that she left. As Naruto heard the voice come in, he stepped inside. Surprised there was only a few people, as Minato and Jiraiya were visible. The Anbus were in the shadows. As Minato's eyes made contact with Naruto's, as he looked him over, noticing the battle scars on his arm, the Fuinjutsu seal on his wrist. Simple yet effective storage seals, used by the Uzumaki clan when they were around. As he finally spoke, Pain of Kiri. Or is it Grim? I forget. It was a petty comment, however Naruto was not going to kick up a fuss, as he simply shrugged his shoulders and nodded. As Naruto held himself in a proper demeanor. Despite their village not being allied, Minato was still a Kage, and also a well-renowned shinobi as well. Either will do, said Naruto as he glanced around, looking towards a large window ram behind him, and not to mention the photographs on the wall, and the neatly stacked documents that cover his desk. Minato nodded as he leaned back in his chair, as he surveyed Naruto. As Jiraiya also looked over Pain as well, taking in every feature of the kid. Without a doubt, the kid was a prodigy to have this reputation at his age. But he was not a monster like what the bingo book suggests, but a young man in shinobi faithfully serving his village. It was an admirable trait in Jiraiya book, and holding Kakashi's death against Pain was petty. After all, he had killed dozens of Kiri shinobis for his service for Konoha, and he had killed dozens of outcasts too, people who were just making a living. But it was his mission because they were his enemy. He saw that the silence was extending. Minato, I'm sure Pain and his team need to leave very soon. It seemed to do the trick as Minato spoke up. I will make this simple, Pain. Currently Konoha has a bounty on your head, as I'm sure that you know. A bounty that was placed on your head after you cut down Kakashi Hatake, a loyal, long-serving member of Konoha. As Minato lay out the facts as he leaned forward, as Naruto merely nodded his head, acknowledged what he said was right. After all, what could he say? Yeah, sorry about that, my bad. He wouldn't say that. Despite that though, you still came to Konoha, entering the village, under what I'm guessing is your real name. From there you became a proctor in Chunin exams, and you end up saving my daughter from the missing in Orochimaru when he infiltrated the Forest of Death in the second stage. As Minato paused once again, and you would like a report on the goings of the Forest of Death, Naruto asked. We'll come to that later. Suffice to say, the testimonies of Mito, Erza, and Sasuke and Uncle had given a good idea of what the Forest of Death and Orochimaru attack was like. Anything else that you can give will be useful, but as you are a shinobi that doesn't fall under my command, I cannot order you to give that information away. The reason I call you here is so I can get the measure on you. The measure on me, said Naruto. Minato nodded as he looked intently at Naruto. Yes, you killed my student Kakashi, but you left his genuine team alive. A team that include the last loyal Uchiha and my daughter. Things would have been easier for you if you had killed them, leaving no witnesses, or you had kidnapped them. The last Uchiha would be seen as a valuable commodity in the shinobi world, as well as my daughter, being a Jinchuriki and a child of the Yellow Flash. As Naruto was surprised that the man was being so open, yet you left them alive. Unscathed as well, this raises questions about your character and your aim. This is further compounded by your actions in the Forest of Death, where you fought Orochimaru of the Sannin in single combat, all to protect my daughters and the last Uchiha, despite the danger that he presents to you, and despite the bounty on your head. My question is, why? Maybe I was feeling generous, said Naruto, in a dry tone. Consider you and your capacity as Grim are known to be completely ruthless, merciless, with a high rate of kill. I doubt it, said Jiraiya, cutting in a bit. The information he got from his spy network, Grim had never missed a target, and never left a target behind, unless he was ordered to do so. They always die, no matter what. Maybe I was looking out for the interests of Kira then, said Naruto. I doubt it. If you had killed the Genins in the land of Wave, no one could have linked you back to Kira. And if you had stayed out of the wind of forest, you could have just said that you weren't aware of the situation with Orochimaru, but yet, you chose to intervene, Jiraiya said. We've already discussed your motives, and we'll come to the reason that is something personal. There's a personal reason why you protected my daughters and the last Uchiha. As Naruto gazed focused on the man, where was he going with this? I believe you are of the Uzumaki clan. Your ability to use the chakra chains suggests that much. I believe that you're some way related to my wife and daughters, and that is why you protect them. A flicker crossed Naruto's eyes at that moment, as Minato noticed, and that was all that he needed. I thought so, you're Uzumaki. No doubt a descendant from someone that joined the outcasts after the fall of Uzu. That is why you protected my family, because they're part of your clan. And if I am, said Naruto, is Konoha gonna offer me sanctuary as a former ally of Uzu? Minato eyes narrowed at that. No, we are not, he said. And I thought we were getting along so well, said Naruto, as he tilted his head to the side. It wasn't like you would have joined Konoha in the first place. Your recent actions have been noted, but your previous deeds have not been forgotten. I take it that you're talking about your old student, Kakashi, right? Yes, said Minato bluntly. The death of my student still weighs heavily on me, and despite saving my daughters, this is something I cannot forgive. Nor will I forget. A flicker of irritation passed Naruto's eyes. Since when did I need or ask for your forgiveness? We are not allies, Minato Namikaze. Konoha and Kira are neither allies or enemies. We are neutral. At the moment, we are still two shinobi villages. Villages that will come into conflict if our missions intercept. As far as I'm concerned, Kakashi Hatake died fighting me, doing his duty to his village, just as I killed him, doing my duty to my village. That is all there is to it. Shinobis doing their duties. I see no reason to seek forgiveness for being the victor. Minato just stared at him without saying a word, as Naruto was on guard just in case. But after a brief moment, the man simply nodded. Very well then. Now I would like to hear what happened in the forest of death, if you are willing. During your fight with Orochimaru, did you find out? Why did he infiltrate Konoha? Or what was he planning? As Naruto released a breath, he had felt a spike in Minato chakra a moment ago. It had only been for a moment, but it nearly caused Naruto to lash out when he felt it. Luckily, he had stayed his hand and Minato had stopped, drawn on his power. Still, though, it was a tense moment and not the one that Naruto would want to happen again. He pushed away those thoughts for now though, as he had the undivided attention of both of them. Unsurprisingly, I didn't have much chance to talk to Orochimaru, with him trying to kill me and all, said Naruto. Minato narrowed his gaze, sensing that he was holding something back. So you have no idea at all why a S-rank missing name was there in the first place? As Naruto thought about the pros and cons, after all, deciding on what me might try to do. Konoha would probably be an enemy or ally, and one were to never give information to the enemy. However, if they did become allies, and they had no information, they could be a burden. So he came up with a plan. Orochimaru placed a mark of some kind on the Uchiha boy, which led me to believe that your daughters were just collateral damage. Yes, we already know about Orochimaru putting his curse mark on Sasuke, and also about you removing it. I am a Uzumaki, said Naruto, with a nonchalant shrug. Well, that is all good and well. However, the Medic Nin had informed us that the patch of skin that the cursed mark was on was seemingly rotted. The skin on the Uchiha neck has desiccated, permanently scarring him. They think it might have been caused by some kind of chakra, eating poison. Better a scar than an unknown seal from your former teammate. Jiraiya of the Sanin, said Naruto. Jiraiya scowled at that comment. However, before he could say anything, Minato cut him off. Do you have any idea what else Orochimaru was here in Konoha for? After all, I doubt that he risked all that just to put a seal on Sasuke. Minato spoke up, ignoring the tension between the two. Sorry, I can't help, said Naruto. The fight was swift. That being said though, I would be on guard. After all, if he can slip through your security, he might be able to do it again. Minato paused to hear that as he watched Naruto, only for him to give him a look of boredom in return. Very well then, he said. He was already planning on beefing up Konoha security, but now that Pain said that, he was gonna add something just in case. Thank you for meeting me, Pain of Caring, and sharing some information. I look forward to meeting you again at the next stage of student exam, said Minato, as the man was quite conflicted about Pain. As Naruto merely nodded before he turned and started to walk away, proceeding to go through the tower. Back inside with Minato, releasing a sigh as Pain left Minato massage his temple. Damn, that's one prickly shinobi, said Jiraiya. Minato turned towards him. What? Get an answer out of that kid. It's like getting blood out of a stone. A flicker of amusement passed across Minato's face as he heard the expression that Jiraiya used. It was to mean that something was impossible, which meant getting straight answer to the Pain seemed to be literally impossible. So what do you think then? Asked Jiraiya. I am not entirely sure what I think of him. I believe he knows a lot more than he's letting on. Just so I believe that. He's much more than a normal Uzumaki outcast. That's an understatement, said Jiraiya. There's something else though. Something that is just off about him. Minato raised an eyebrow. Really? How? He said. It's just the way that he reacted to things. Like his amusement when you noted his connection to Kushina and the girls. Or his annoyance when you spoke of not forgiving him. And the way he held himself while answering questions. It was like you want to tell us more, however. Something was conflicting him to not do so. Minato nodded at that. Yeah. I thought the same, he said, as he had picked up on that as well. It seems like something was holding Pain back. Is that why you briefly went into sage mode? Jiraiya said, as he had felt the surge of chakra from Minato as well, as he had remained still after all, and he was able to gather Senjutsu. So you noticed, said Minato in amusement. You're a skill wielder of Senjutsu, Minato, but you're not good enough to sneak a sage mode transformation away from me yet. So what did you sense from him? It was odd. Pain or whatever his name is. His chakra felt familiar and yet at the same time unnatural. Maybe the familiarities from him being a Uzumaki. You do live with 3 after all. As for unnatural, Pain is a former outcast, and the outcasts are known for having pretty unique abilities. I'm not sure, it might have been a bloodline, like you say. The sheer amount of power that he possesses is around Kage level, and is far too high for his age. But that wasn't what felt unnatural. It was the feel of his chakra, it just felt wrong. It felt cold and dark. It almost felt parasitic. It was like I was sensing 100 people in him at one point. Jiraiya trusted Minato's senses because he was much more skilled in stage mode than him. But what could this mean? Is he dangerous? Asked Jiraiya. Incredibly dangerous. Whether he's a danger to us though, I'm not sure. With Naruto, it had been about an hour since he had his meeting, as they decided to just leave the village now. As they were moving from treetop to treetop, making their way, his pace was brutal, as the others were finding a bit hard-pressed to keep up. However, the road was not a safe place, and his actions in Forest of Death had gotten the attention of Orochimaru as well. Someone that Naruto would not put above sending assassins to kill him if it better his cause. Far as Naruto was concerned, all he wanted to do was get back home, give his report to Mei, and go to Mina and get drunk. His conversation with Minato was a lot more uncomfortable than the one that he had with his mother. His mother was easygoing and good to talk to. His sisters were also pleasant, Erza more so than Mito. Well, that might be because Mito saw a darker side of him. However, with Minato it was far more unpleasant, as it made Naruto rather unsure about him. Well, that might be a bit unfair, seeing that Naruto met the man when he was in Hokage's mode. However, Naruto chose a long time ago, as he would not be returning to Konoha. He was a Kira Shinobi now, and that was his home. As they made their way through the treetops, a few days later, within Kira, a large smile was on his face as he entered the village, his team of 3 following behind him. As he nodded towards the gate guards, the 2 hulking shinobis nodded back, as Naruto was greeted by shinobis that he passed in the street. Both the former rebels and the former outcasts were enthusiastic with their greetings as he passed them, many of them calling out to him or stopping current activities to greet him. After all, he had made a name for himself when he had worked in torture and interrogation until he took to the battlefield to help fight the Mizukage, and later after when he and his team had made a name for themselves as some of the most infamous hunters around. And not to mention they became Kira, S-rank shinobis, the others being Meitarumi and Utakata, the Jinchuriki of the Rokubai, as Naruto and his group were now S-ranks as well. As Naruto turned towards the 3 genins, you 3 go off, and remember the mission, any details about it is completely classified. As he noticed the 3 of them were looking rather tired, no doubt they were wiped out by the grueling pace that he set to return to Kira as soon as possible. You have a month before return to Konoha for the next stage, and during that month you'll be training with me and a few others to be the strongest you can be. I take it that we're not training for June exams, Hodan said. After all, we're strong enough to defeat the toughest of genins there. Naruto appreciated Hodan's confidence, however there was 3 Jinchuriki there. A Jinchuriki was always hard to fight. You can never be too strong, he said, as Suigetsu snorted at that. So what is the real reason? Are you ever going to tell us the real parameters of formation, or are you going to continue to be vague? I will inform you as soon as myself know. For all you need to do right now is to make sure you hone your skills for the next month. You can rely on us, said Kotaro. I know I can, and I promise I'll tell you what I can when I can. As he knew how annoying it must be for the 3 of them to not know exactly what they were doing. I'll see you guys later, said Naruto, as he made his way towards the Mizukage's tower. Moments later, my lady Terumi, he said, his eyes flicking around the room to locate the 4 Anvus. It was a natural reaction from his training to locate every person in the room when you enter. After that was done, he focused on me. There was also 2 people behind her as well, her 2 most trusted advisors. The first being the grumpy Ayo. Ayo's abrasive attitude rubbed Naruto the wrong way, and the feeling was mutual between them. His only redeeming qualities Naruto was his loyalty to Kiri and me, and not to mention he had a stolen Byakugan under that eye patch, which is quite an assessment for the village. As for the other one, it was the old man that did not possess any eyes, as his lips curved up into a smile as Naruto smiled back towards the man. Pain, said me. You know, normally, it is expected that my shinobis knock when they want to see me. However, Naruto always barged in her office. As Naruto merely shrugged, she also had a smile on her face as well. I don't really see the point, especially since the old man probably heard me coming from a mile away. Besides, I thought that you wanted to see me quickly, given the news I'm bringing back. May rolled her eyes at that. So, am I to take it that your mission in Konoha was productive? You could say that, yeah. Not only is our genuine team in the finals, but I managed to track down one of the sound operatives and get an outline of the invasion plan, as well as information on the forces both sides. As May leaned back with a smile on her face. I take it that you were discreet when going about your interrogation. As I always am, he said. And what have you found, said May. Well, for one, the sound is actually Orochimaru. And the sound is not a proper shinobi village. Well, not in the normal way. It's a massive underground bunker that Orochimaru used as his base in Rice country. So, Orochimaru, Konoha trader Snake Sanin, said May. Her mouth formed into a thin line as she drummed her fingers on the table, as she thought about what she knew about the man that was listed in the scrolls, and the bingo book, and the few information that she got from her spies. So she knew enough to be wary as his name was brought up. This could be concerning, as in the fact that he was there within Konoha during the Chunin exam, said Naruto. A questioning look came on May's face when she heard that. I met him during the second stage of the exam, in Konoha Forest of Death. Did you fight him? Io said. Yes. I didn't want to give away that I knew that he was his own Kage, since I was acting as one of the proctors in the Forest of Death exam. Though I wouldn't call it a fight, more of a skirmish. I managed to drive him off, however I think that is because he already set out what he intended to do. You did the right thing, we don't want to tip our hand, not yet. Until we come to a final conclusion on what is our plan moving forward. Even now, despite knowing who she would be getting in bed with, she had not made up her mind about anything yet. Pain, did you find out what the Sanin was there for? The old man asked. From what I find out, he was there to place a curse seal on the last Uchiha within the village. From what I find out, he's planning to capture the boy sooner or later, all to get his Sharingan. May turned towards the old man. What are you thinking? She said. I have a feeling that Orochimaru planned for the invasion for Konoha might be a smokescreen. Such a blunt display. It does not fit what I've heard about the Sanin. As there was a small frown on the man's face. Orochimaru had hunted down the outcasts for years now, trying to capture them for his experiments. It could be a revenge plot. Orochimaru was denied the position of Hokage and was banished later on after all, said Naruto as he was unsure what the old man was getting at. The information he got from Kabuto was great, however, he didn't know the exact plans that Orochimaru had. It could be, and that might be a part of it, the old man said, as he glanced towards me. I think it is just to create a smokescreen though, a distraction for him to get what he wants. And I think that might be the Uchiha, or potentially most of the other bloodline users that call the village home. So the invasion is a scam, me, said the frown, not liking the fact that he tried to use scare in the other village to achieve his goals. I wouldn't say that. He's probably hoping for it to succeed. However, a shinobi of his caliber must have a backup. A plan so he doesn't go home empty-handed if the invasion fails. So the invasion plan is legitimate, however Orochimaru has other plans just in case. May questioned as the old man nodded. She thought about it. With three nations working together, Konoha can be conquered, and Kiri would get a benefit loot from it. However, if they help Konoha fend off the invasion that was possible, they will get an alliance and trade agreements on Land of Fire as well. Pain, I want you to tell me everything you know about Konoha defenses, Orochimaru and Sand forces and their plans of the invasion. I want a full picture of everything before I make a choice on which one we will choose. As Naruto gave her a curt nod as he told her everything, as Naruto and the other advisors made their own opinions on which path to take, as she took all of them into account and decide which one she would take into moving the village forward. However, I'm going to be ending this episode right here, guys. If you want to see the next part, and do like, subscribe, comment down below, turn on that bell notification to stay posted, remember to share this with all of your friends in your social media platform. And also, guys, do not forget to stay in tune for the rest of what is coming your way on Anime King. and Anime King 3. Yes, I indeed have 3 channels. Anime King, Anime King 2, and Anime King 3, which I post 45 minutes a day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead, click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support, and yeah, without further ado, don't forget to turn on that bell notification so you can see exactly when I post, guys. Yes, that's correct. Exactly when I post, because I have 3 channels which I post on every single day. So stay tuned for those, and I hope you guys enjoy. So without further ado, what do you say we leap on into this new episode? What am I saying? Let's get the hell out of here, guys.